I'm going to, today discuss about the tax haven issue as well as the domestic black money. And in the context of this, what you call A for Antigua and C for, all these countries where our Mehul Chokshi is, I think, residing, and there are steps. Periodically, it is told he is going to be brought back, another thing. Then Vijay Mallya at London and various places. So there is a general sudden interest in tax havens. What are they? Why are they functioning? What is the role? And why did person like Mehul Chokshi? There was a. I think some of you might have seen in television also. It was shown that there is a judge in this. Country trying to talk to him, Dominica, and find out. And finally they adjourned the case and everything. And I was always telling, not a single person, to me at least, my understanding, has ever been let out from a tax haven. We may have our own wishes and our own likings, but the fact of the matter is nobody is going to come out of tax haven. We may get some funds back. That's a different issue. Okay. Now, when we talk about black money, we have a huge amount of issues pertaining to domestic black money. And domestic black money, everybody knows, is generated because of this corruption. Bribery is one of the major aspect of domestic black money. One can argue that all over the world there is bribery. Famous Indira Gandhi told that it's an international phenomena. And so that time I am talking about 70s. But unfortunately, the bribery in other countries is mostly what I call the wholesale bribery. Recently, the French ex-president Sarkozy was arraigned in the court for taking bribes for some projects and sale of aircraft. So at that level, there is a massive amount of bribery, at the level of the top executives or top. But unfortunately, in India, we suffer from what I call the retail bribery at the lower levels, whether it is at a red light of a traffic signal, or whether to get a RTO license, whether to get a birth certificate, death certificate, or whether to have a land registered in your name. Hundreds of these things, and to set up a shop, or water board, electricity board, and local, the municipal council. Everywhere you find these are what I call the retail bribery, which affect the common citizens very, very severely. Like, for instance, in those countries, Western countries, typically, if you have your documents clear, if otherwise papers are okay, you go through the whole process smoothly. Nobody tries to ask you what is popularly in India known as chai pani type of amount. So that is the thing which, and government, has become extraordinarily corrupt. Everybody knows. And only thing is, the government offices, the board is not, published, in the sense it's not shown how much you have to pay for which, type of an activity and other thing. Otherwise, everyone knows, and it's a sort of sometimes it's a very peculiar type of situation, because I find sometimes whether I am overpaying or underpaying. It's not clear actually, because there is no, and you have to check with your other friends and other thing, what is the going rate, land registration, everything you have to pay for. And kindly note, it's not just only in public sector or government, it's also in private sector. Many private schools, I know, they collect, they give salary of some 10-15,000 and collect a receipt for 20,000 from the teachers. And to become a teacher itself, many a school, what is good schools, you have to break, you have to pay. And many HR executives I know in private companies, they collect 2 months or 3 months salary from the new employees as part of the deal. So, and then procurement in private companies also full of, and nowadays there is a bombastic word called outsourcing. Outsourcing is nothing but benefit given to the top executives. Many of the outsource, except critical item, if you are running a for instance, taxi thing for the benefit of the senior executives, that could be run by some relative of the top management people. So these are the incentives given. In one company I saw, before the meeting, they used to, what one can call, do some room freshener. Every room is to be some bus they do, and then so that it becomes, when the board meets it, it's a nice atmosphere. Even that is outsourced to the unmarried mother. Unmarried mother-in-law is not a good term. I should not use it. Unmarried sister-in-law of the owner of the company or something. So these are very, very common everywhere. And the flower arrangement in another company, multinational company, and that is done every day. Flowers are organized in every floor, and if you are a junior manager, you will get one stem. That's all. That's not more than that. If you are, executive director, a full bouquet will come and is kept on your table. This is a daily thing, and all the floors, and the whole thing, flower thing, is done by the relatives of these senior people. These are perks, they are called, and untaxed, in the sense that there is no tax implication for this, because they don't collect any money. What I want to stress is this is both in public and private sector. This is something, and sometimes very funny things take place. When I was in graduation, I got some amount, some loan from government as a merit cum means scholarship loan. It was maybe some 2,000 rupees. I'm talking about the 60s, 19. Many, most of you would not have been born that time. Don't worry about it. And after that, there is a rule which says if I put in 10 years as a teacher, I don't have to repay this money. So I have started working, and nearly 6-7 years are over. So I thought 1/6 is reduced, and like that. Suddenly I got a letter from the state government telling that you must return the amount. I told the rule is that if I put in 10 years, after that you could, no. After graduation, you didn't take this amount. So I told there was no need, because in my PG I got some allowance. They were providing me some stipend. No. Since you didn't take it after graduation, you should. No, I've returned it that time itself. You have not done it, and any of my grandfather has instructed me very clearly: never argue with a government employee. Most important in life. If you want to survive in life, never argue with a government employee. Just smile and leave it, because you are never going to win a argument with the government employee. So that's a. I took his advice very seriously. He gave 2 more advices. Never enter into a thana and never enter into a court. Even if you want to use the restroom, don't go into that. Go somewhere else. And many of the places, the restrooms of these places are horrible actually. You can't even enter the court or a thana. These are the 3 advice he told. Never argue with that. So I didn't want to argue with him. I told, okay, I will repay. Then how much is the amount? He told, no, I am going for lunch and other thing. Before going, he indicated to me, sir, you have to take care of me. I was shocked actually. I am returning the amount. I'm not taking the loan. Can you beat this? Only in India it can happen actually. He went away, and one lady was sitting there. She told, sir, I asked her, what is this? He told, sir, no, without paying anything, nothing will happen here. And for instance, she told her own case. I recently joined 2 years before. I paid some amount to get the job. She has come on reservation, but still she paid. So that was the thing. I have to pay it, and Another situation was recently in a crematorium. I some not pre-COVID time. The one of the friends' father passed away. I also went, and the board there says 400 rupees or something, but that lady wanted 2,000 rupees, and everybody was in a very very what you call sad mood. Nobody was, because the colleague's father has passed away, and people didn't want to argue. Anyhow, they told you wait for an hour or two, you will get the ashes. And I was sitting there. I was talking to the lady was in charge of that. She was officer or whatever that thing, administrator. So I asked her, you collect 2,000. It's very interesting actually. How many bodies come in those days? She told some 8 to 10 will come, and and all days. It's a second Saturday, Sunday also people die. It's not that there is respite for that. So I was wondering if 8 to 10 bodies, for instance, 30 days, and you are collecting 2,000 per. So 20,000 into 30, 6 lakh, and into 12 months. annual 72 lakh. I was reasonably good in mathematics from my school days onward. So I asked her 72 lakh. She told, sir, you don't understand that this money is not mine. I get only hardly 2 to 3 lakh out of that. I have to share it till the minister level. Can you beat this? This is in a southern state actually. I was shocked actually. I asked her, you get 1 to 2 lakh only. Where do I? She told, I buy some land, I have put in gold and other thing. And then she told me a very interesting thing. I have paid 15 lakh to get this job. So this is something which is very, very serious situation in India. Our society as well as our government, we should have a relook at it. Many of the posts, I can tell you honestly, are auctioned today. In many places, if you want to get a, what one can call a good posting as a, say, police inspector in a Thana, which is having huge number of shops or huge number of thing, then you have to pay. And it is auctioned. And as in education sector, I can tell you, in southern part of the country, to become a vice chancellor, anywhere between 2 crore to 20 crore you have to pay, depending upon the university, what is the nature of the university and other thing. So the whole system is, if you ask me, broken. Phenomenal amount of money is collected, and the reforms or changes are all talked about at Delhi level only. When PV Narasimha was the Prime Minister, he made a good amount of reforms actually. He removed the licensing system. He removed the controller of capital issues, who was considered a sultan of finance in those days. He used to decide at what price you can offer the shares and everything. He told, why should a government servant decide? Let it be decided by the market. Then everybody, he abolished it actually. People wrote editorial next day, audacity of Narasimha Rao. If you ask me, he was the real founder or pioneer in reforms. But unfortunately, all the reforms of him were at the Delhi level, in the sense, big corporates, capital market, banking sector, like that. They were not permeating to the state and municipal level. So if you ask me, one thing should be, we require 28 Narasimha Raos in the country today, in 28 states. And maybe another 50 or 60 more than that Narasimha Raos at the corporation level. Because here the issue of domestic corruption is very, very severe. We have a large number of enactment actually, regulation. Regulation in India, let me be very frank, I shouldn't say this, but I will tell you, regulation means bribery. Absolutely nothing else. Recently, you would have seen, for instance, fire in some hospitals in Surat, or the type of some fire in some shopping complex. And if you investigate further, you will find there is an element of bribery in all this. Fellows don't go to inspect; they just issue a certificate. They don't have any fire extinguisher or anything. So this goes on. We have Food and Adulteration Act. Every municipality is expected to conduct this act. They are supposed to check whether food is adulterated or not. I am always amused because the water fellow will be very careful, because if something wrong goes, next day people won't go to him. Even a simple fellow who sells pani puri is very worried about his customers. And the message will go nowadays in SMS also, it will go. If one customer find in a pani puri some fly or something, she will take a selfie and she will put it on the what one can call the Instagram or internet. It will go up to Venezuela within a matter of hours. She will say that I bought this pani puri in this country.
Social media.
So this type of what I want to say is, what happened, I have seen physically many a time this Food and Adulteration Act inspectors will come and the hotel fellow will give him an envelope. They will give him some amount, 500 or 1,000. Same thing for retail shop fellows. We have Shops and Establishment Act. Each one of you who is attending this should get a copy of it and read it. Shops and Establishment Act. For every state, there is a act by itself. It's enormously interesting. It says every shop should have a sunshine. Every shop should have a clean surrounding. It should not have rats. It should have sitting facility for at least 4 people. Retail shop, have you ever seen any possible? So the inspectors go there and obviously they will harass and collect some money. One southern state, one minister told, if you have to implement Shops and Establishment Act, we have to close 99% of the shops in my state. He openly told this in the assembly. So that is so all these regulations and acts are breeding ground for corruption. When I was teaching, I used to tell my student one project I used to give. What is the project? You go and set up a shop in Bangalore. 3 months. And without cutting corners, without any proper route you have to adopt, and small shop selling some all these Pepsi Cola or Coca Cola or cigarette or whatever, chota shop. All the students used to fail in setting up a shop. They used to pass in the subject because of the methodology and research method, all those things, but not able to set it up because everywhere they have to bribe to get the land lease, to get the water connection, to get the power connection, to get a board installed, that is done by you have to get a corporation permission. Then there is a regulation that 60% of the board should be Kannada letter and 40% should be English letter. And then a neon sign, if you want to have in the evening, you have to pay separately for that. This whole thing is, it's much, 22 regulations are there to set up a small shop. You can imagine the level of corruption which is deep-rooted in this. So if you put together all this, somebody told, we have to become a 5 trillion economy. That is what Modi ji is telling another. I told the method is simple. You take an Excel sheet. Most people will know what is an Excel sheet, right? You fill it up with all the corporators, elected legislators, contractors of all the major municipalities like Chennai, Surat, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Bombay, like that, for the last 15 years. It's not very difficult to prepare that Excel sheet, right? You will get some 100, 200 names. Freeze all their assets. You will get 5 trillion? You may get even 7 trillion Indian economy. That is the level of what one can call corruption, which we have seen. We have estimated in our book, actually, on a conservative basis, 10% of our GDP is domestic, generated corruption. Last year, we had a 220 lakh crores, roughly, approximately. So 22 lakh crore out of that was generated in this fashion. And all of that is invested in gold or land or whatever it is. You find sometime often on, some lokayuktas raided some police inspector and recovered 60 crore from him, like that news, unbelievable actually. And we are become what you may loosely call used to it. There is no sense of shame left at all anymore in this country. I can assure you about it. Recently, there was this new government got formed in Tamil Nadu. All of you will know. Every state, the same story. The newspapers wrote that such and such a department, which is in Tamil, they call it Pasayulla department. That means all-time money. You can earn a lot of money. That department is not coming to this minister, while the other department is going to that minister. Like that, the newspapers wrote openly. So we have lost the sense of shame also. Can you beat that newspaper telling that he is not getting a department where he can make a lot of money? That has become our norm today, actually. So 10% is 22 lakh crores. You can imagine. And all of this is not kept in the cupboard like in a Hindi film or something. All of this is used in the economy in terms of credit for small businesses, credit for rickshaw pullers, credit for this pushcart owners and other things. That is if at all you can call it, that's a plus point of this black money. It's a domestic, which is used for local productive purposes. But let's come to the other one, which is the global. We have huge amount of money stashed abroad by Indians. By Indians, what we mean is all type of people. That I should mention. Corruption is one best secular activity in this country. Somebody asked me, what is the most secular activity in India? I told corruption. Earlier it used to be poverty. Now it's corruption. All are corrupt. If you locate a corrupt person, he could be Hindu, he could be Christian, he could be Muslim, he could be Parsi. There is no division at all in this. Or he could be a Patel, he could be a Tevar, he could be a, what one can call a Kurmi, Jat, or all caste, all religion. So we are all, it's a fantastic unity and diversity, I would say, all over the country. This is one thing which unites the entire country is corruption. So all type of people have kept funds abroad. It can be bureaucrats, business people, politicians, judges, film actors, sports people, musicians. All type of people have kept illicit funds abroad in what are called tax havens. There are 73 known tax havens, that is, who claim themselves to be tax havens, and there are another 100 or so which are not known fully. As early as last time when Obama was seeking election, he mentioned in Bahamas, in one building, there were 22,800 listed companies in one building. All of them are post-bag type of thing. With there is no regular big company or anything. These are all. And within US, for instance, there are some states which are much more popular about it in terms of having this type of a listing of companies, quite a large number in one location. And most of them do not have any major activity. For instance, Antigua, what is the one lawyer and one chartered accountant will represent you. The method is very simple, and they will be your what one can call binami or whatever. You are the fiduciary owner, and your name will never be revealed. So they will act on your behalf. Actually, you stash your funds there. Not only individual, big companies, large number of big companies show their profits in these tax havens. They don't pay adequate taxes to US government. US government is extremely upset with them actually, because for instance, year before last year, if you remember, Amazon has paid taxes which is less than the perks given to their senior executives in US, in spite of earning billions. Same thing about Citibank, same thing about Amex, same thing about I have provided a huge list of companies in my book. That's not so US is now trying to bring in reforms and others. The total estimated amount as early as 13-14 was 20 trillion US dollar. Trillion, which is something of the order of take into account your billions to billions, billions to trillions. And what about India? India is that time itself, there were estimates which I was also involved. There is one group called Global Financial Integrity, GFI. Those of you who are interested can go into Google and find all their articles and other things, how they estimate. These estimates are very, not extremely difficult, but interesting. How do this money get generated? One simple method is commission. When you buy aircraft or when you buy ship or when you buy plant and machinery, equipment and other thing, you get a cut, and that cut is kept abroad in your account by the seller. This is a very, very simple mechanism. Many of you would remember about Bofors and other things, and there were a lot of discussion and other. The other method is under invoicing and over invoicing, which is the most popular method. It's called trade mispricing in the jargon. Idea is very simple. I import something for let's say $50. I tell the seller, put the bill as $55. And so what happened to the remaining $5 which I remit to him? He will keep it in my account abroad. 50 is the only amount, but he will bill me for 55. From India, I will send the rupee equivalent of 55. Similarly, I export something. I will tell the buyer, this I am exporting to you. I will export it to you at, it is actually 15. I will export it to you at 13. So, and the remaining 2, you put it in my account, like this. And if I am a film actor, or if I am a cricket player, or if I am any tennis player or anything, I will go abroad, earn significant amount of money, and then I will keep the funds there itself. I won't bring it back for all that. For instance, the world famous tennis player are all citizens of tax havens. They are not citizens of US, or some of them are citizens of these tax havens located. Some of course, one or two of them are Switzerland, which is also one of the major tax havens. What do the tax haven do? They collect your money, and one is they don't charge any taxes on your income. That is something very, very important. They give you even citizenship rights, and then they say if you are chased by your country, you come over here and spend time. Most of the tax havens are sea resorts. You can spend peacefully your till end of the life, and most of them don't have any repatriation facilities to send back you anywhere. And they also provide insurance benefits to you. They can provide to your family also, and they commit themselves never to reveal your name anywhere. It's under the confidentiality clause and other. So there are several type of benefits which is provided by these, and they of course use your money, invest all over the world in order to earn the returns and other things. So this is a very, and so our own estimate is 1.5 to 2 trillion. This was as early as 2010-11, and that time there was a huge amount of hue and cry and other thing. If some of you may remember, may have been in school that time, I do not know, may remember Ram Jethmalani filed a case actually, and I was also involved in that committee and other thing. Anyhow, then the Supreme Court told you should constitute a special investigation team in order to look into it. Then, as long as UPA were in government, they were not very enthusiastic. But when the NDA government came, interestingly, the first task which was done in 2014, May 24th, if you remember, was to constitute the SIT. But after that, what happened? Nothing happened. That's the most interesting part of the story. That's India. And they periodically they met, and the SIT was to submit to Supreme Court in a sealed cover what are their findings. 20 or 22 covers they give. I don't know whether they are empty covers or whether they have something inside, God only knows. So that matter is something as it is gone. And these we have also signed a United Nations declaration about anti-corruption declaration. This was done during 2013, Manmohan Singh time itself. According to the declaration, it's not very complicated. We have to prepare a what are called persons of politically exposed person list. Those who are connected to politicians, those who are linked with MLAs, corporators, MPs, all these are called politically exposed people, and that massive list should be prepared by RBI and Finance Ministry, and then it should be publicized, and all the banks and financial institutions should take note of it. And unfortunately, we have not prepared that list. And otherwise, there are certain steps which we can take. We should have taken under the United Nations thing. We have not taken. For instance, we can declare that any money kept abroad by Indians without proper RBI approval belongs to the government of India. We can pass an ordinance on that and get it approved. And then based on that, all money can be asked to be frozen by these taxes. So let's be very clear. There are two dimensions to it. One is to so-called punish people who have accumulated illicit wealth abroad. Other is to get the wealth abroad. Our focus much better should be to get the wealth back to India. That's much more important than trying to punish these people. Has any country succeeded? Yes. One example could be Philippines. After 15 years of battle of the Marcos and his wife's thing, Philippines could get a good amount, not a very large amount, but at least something of the order of some 2 to 2.5 billion out of some 10 billion which has been accumulated by them abroad. This is from Switzerland. Nigeria has got it. Sani Abacha, its dictator, was, and recently Tunisia. In the sense, it's not Peru has got it. In the sense, it's not something impossible. I'm talking about the money part of it. I'm not talking about getting the person and all that. I think we are unnecessarily focusing more on the person. Getting nothing wrong in trying to get the person, but getting the person is not going to be a smooth issue or anything. That is that. And globally now, there is a significant amount of consternation about this tax havens. So G20, most of you would have heard the name G20. They have formed a committee also, subcommittee. I have been helping them to some extent in identifying mechanisms by which these tax havens can be exposed. One is companies are asked to give in their annual report country-wise profits which they are making. Companies are refusing to do it. As of now, global companies give only the regional. They will say East Asia we earned so much, but country-wise balance sheets are insisted. One. Second is automatic transmission of information. That means if somebody goes and puts some money in a bank in, say, Switzerland, he is supposed to immediately inform the government of India or RBI that so much funds are being deposited above some level, like $1,000 or something, in the account by an Indian. This we want to keep you informed. This is called automatic transmission of information. The third is matching inflows and outflows. That means when we are exporting something to another country, if you are exporting at $10, what is the amount at which that country receiving it? In other words, the amount which is expected to be received by the exporter, the amount actually sent by the importer there should be matching. For this, the shipping documents as well as the export-import manifest and banking documents should be aligned, and then they should be announced. So there are many steps which G20 is insisting. And the US government is now talking in terms of minimal tax for every company. 16% number is told, 8%. It's not at finalized, but this Biden is very serious about it. What we call Bihari government, Biden Harris, BI and HAR, Bihar government in US is saying that minimal tax, 8%. And many of the global companies are resisting it. Obviously, they do not like to have this idea of minimal tax. And why the worry about tax havens started on a big scale is after the 9/11 episode, because it was found out some of the 9/11 terrorists who attacked the Twin Towers were funded through the tax havens. So that is the worry. The terror financing angle has annoyed US like anything. And so some of the transactions of the tax haven, they are not very comfortable with it. Many countries, London itself is a tax haven. That's why UK is unenthusiastic about many of these newfound regulations and other things coming through. India, of course, is one of the silent observers. India is a good boy. Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam for us. Whether you have money in India or whether you have it in Switzerland, it doesn't really matter. All world is one family, so you can have it there also. India has not yet taken any. Of course, off and on, India has told very strong words. We are very good in what we call Kadininda. We take up a stance and then say these are not good things. That we will do. But after some time, it's like some dogs which bark and then keep quiet after some time. Anyhow, so far we have not taken any major step in terms of unearthing what belongs to us. This is what is the most important thing. Last but not least is many of the FII and other thing which comes, people are very enthusiastic, clapping and other thing. It is felt that it could be our own money coming back. In the sense from some of these tax havens in terms of other sponsored companies, and after some time it will go away. The way in which it comes, why do they come, sir? Because the returns are attractive. The global returns are not so attractive. There they talk about 3.5%, 4%. But here in India, you talk in terms of the 8%, 9% return, and you pull it out whenever you want to pull it out. So that is another issue. A third issue is which we should be also concerned is terror financing using some of these money. Some of these money could come through channels, and we have opened up even FCRA channel. Even today is open. There is no difficulty at all. Even otherwise, other channels are there, Hawala channels and so many other channels through which it can come and it can fund some anti-national activities in domestic sphere. And 1.5 trillion to 2 trillion is not a small amount. You can add zeros and multiply it to 73 to find out how much it is in terms of rupee. Your calculator may not be able to take it, but doesn't matter. You can do it, right? So we have to be cautious about it. And between domestic and global, Domestic, of course, as I told you, is helping in some amount of economic activity within the country. Not that it can justify the title of being a black thing. And many of the political parties are intrinsically linked with that. What I call the F20. You may be knowing about it. 20 families are controlling politics in this country. You should be clear about it. With the major family, everybody knows, headed in Delhi, and there are regional. Every family has got encouraged their children to come up in life. Mulayam Singh Yadav, Lalu Yadav, and Karunanidhi, and many of them are encouraging the second child. That is one theory, one thesis. Somebody can take it up. Why the second son syndrome? I call it. They are not making the first son as the successor. They are making the second son as the successor. So this is something, and only son, not daughter. Except Sharad Pawar, who is having a daughter. So this is something which can be proved. All these families, except communist and BJP, you can call almost all the others are family control. So they are all having funds abroad. They are also having significant amount of funds domestic. There is no what one can call top secret or anything I am revealing about it actually. And that's one of the reasons why they want their sons to succeed, because that fund has to be protected. It's not the political power. It's the amount of money which you have accumulated. You have accumulated some 100 crore. You don't want that to be taken over by somebody else in the name of party or anything. So this is something, the nexus between these groups and the amount of black money is also to be looked at. And what my concern is, we are losing the sense of shame. We are not feeling any. So probity in public life is not something which is appreciated. If somebody is really, honest or something, people are slowly beginning to say, "Are Baba, he is a Buddha, he doesn't know how to." This is the type of situation where we are slowly coming, which is not a very. We had a president, I'm sure most of you would know, who was so upright. He went out after president getting only one term he was given. He came and then he went back to Rashtrapati Bhavan he told, "I forgot this pen," which was a very lovely pen actually. It belongs to this place, and he was keeping it in his pocket and he went along. Nobody would have ever questioned him or anything, but he did that actually. And there are some very rare exceptions like this who are floating around. But people will say, "Oh, he doesn't know, he is a very..." Next president after him, actually very interesting. She took 22 truckload of material from Rashtrapati Bhavan. She left Rashtrapati Bhavan, but of course, that building was not... so 22 truckload, and one press report said she didn't even return the trucks. That is something very interesting. Not only the loads of... what I mean to say is, probity in public life is no more considered as something which is essential. And similarly in government service, everywhere I am finding, at least at my age, people are laughed at if they are straightforward. We have come to such a situation that what is the type of... I think we should come out of this. We should generate a sense of shame in the country. Then only we will have probity in not only public life, in our day-to-day ordinary life also. And reduction in black money and reduction in illicit money abroad is extremely important in order to have an orderly and proper growth of our economy. Otherwise, it will get distorted. It will get, distorted means this money will go to areas where, they can earn maximum amount. It can go to cricket or IPL or films or, sometime even smuggling and narcotics and drugs and so many other type of things can be impacted. I think we should take it as a more, if you ask me, national security issue also. It's not just a black money issue. And we should take conscious steps at all levels, not just at central level or something. Ease of doing business is, if you ask me, even for the push cart vendor at the street corner, ease of doing business is an important thing. Not just for what one can call crore-patis or big business barons or something. Everybody should have ease of doing business. Everybody should have their enterprise encouraged, and that's a sense of pride. Another thing will come. So all our talk of Atmanirbhar, Nirabhar and this Swadeshi and other thing will succeed only when we establish what is known as a probity in public life, as well as ease of doing business for the pushcart vendor who is standing in that near what do you call it, a street corner at Ahmedabad or at Bangalore or at Delhi or anywhere else. This is what I would like to stress.
My question is, we are talking about a large amount of domestic economy, where you said a retail level of a high level of retail corruption is there. So we had started something called a cashless economy when we are just on the brink of a very small amount we have done it. Can we not extend this cashless economy to the entire country, and maybe that not lead to lowering the level of retail corruption at least?
Yeah, what you say is true. For instance, I will give you two examples. How technology can help in reducing corruption. If you have traveled by our trains, Indian Railways before 92, again, many of you might not have been born that time. Anyhow, that time, before getting in the train, you have to meet a person with a black coat called TTE. And only with his, you have to do pranam to him, and only with his blessing, you will be able to get a seat or a thing. And in those days, believe me, the cabinet minister of railways at Delhi used to tell the regional, the general managers of railways at various zones who should be a TTE in which location. Can you beat that? Cabinet minister used to tell, put this man in Ahmedabad, put this man in Sialda, put this man in Bombay Central, like that. So they were, that time it was considered as ATM jobs. ATM job, I hope you understand. But what happened after that, the software came into being and the whole system changed. Today, to the extent, even if you are in a waitlist ad, you become RSC or something, and then you become regular passenger. Today, there is no demand to become TT in any places. It's a very interesting thing. So one concrete example of technology altering the way in which a huge system like railways is functioning for the passengers, I am telling about. I'm not telling that, so many other areas still there could be issues. Anyhow, this is one. Second is, some municipalities, I know, for instance, Bangalore also, you can pay the house tax using internet. You don't have to go to the municipal office at all. And so again, there is a massive change which has come about because you just go to the internet and you tell your measurement and various other parameters. Then it will show what is the tax you have to pay. Then you pay it. Same thing about the water, same thing about, this is slowly, but very, so your point is very valid. As and when we move, but it will take a lot of time and it's not going to be a, what one can call tomorrow's thing or something. It will take but it will come, I'm sure. We can use technology in order to minimize what you may loosely call the domestic retail corruption. Thank you very much.
How do we get this black money back? You have mentioned 4 steps there. Would you like to, speak about that?
Yeah, sure. There is nothing, what you call, I think I will tell in which page also. So people who are maybe
106
is talking about. This is the book. As I mentioned, kindly buy the book. I'm not asking you to read.
I can also show it.
Right? Huh? Yeah, you also have it actually. I think the global financial architecture topic talks about how to, where are the 4 steps I have mentioned?
106.
Huh?
106.
16, okay. So
106.
Yeah. Okay. First one is what the Americans did in the 70s and 80s. They did a very systematic thing that time. And anyhow, not that they have completely abolished their black money or anything. No. Still there is a huge number of people who keep money abroad. But one thing you have to be very interesting about it. they did a very severe action against UBS and the Swiss banks actually. That was a couple of years before. They fined them 80 million US dollars. It's a very interesting case. Just I will take 1 minute to explain it. Yeah, quite a lot of Americans keep funds in UBS, which is not taxed and which is not even revealed within the US. So this they came to know, and then they told UBS, you have to tell us who are all. UBS told nothing doing because our system, we cannot reveal any names. Kindly note in Switzerland, very interesting thing, it is not a banking regulation act. It is the Swiss constitution under which they cannot reveal the names. So it's not, so they have to amend the constitution. Then only they can reveal the names of, and it cannot even be told casually. For instance, you are having a breakfast at say Zurich with a banker who is a friend of yours, and you can't casually say one film actor from India or one businessman from India yesterday came to our bank and then he deposited so much. No, he cannot even casually mention that because he can be liable for jail term there. It's a very, and second is very interesting in Switzerland, tax evasion is not considered as a crime. It is considered as a normal human activity. So you can't tell somebody that my Indian citizen has avoided taxes. He will say, oh, all right, okay, what's the problem? So you have to find some criminal nature of that activity in order to. So what the US did was they US is of course a big gorilla, so nothing can be. They put in jail number 2 and number 3 of UBS when they came to US. Quietly they arrested them, and that was unbelievable. Switzerland could not even believe it that this has happened. They were shaken to the core, and so they told what is then fine $80 million or something was fined, and UBS paid the fine. And then this was done by the Department of Justice, not the Internal Revenue Service. Department of Justice told, okay, you paid the fine, but tell the names. So the Swiss government told, what is this? You have fined us. Fine is separate. Telling the name is separate. So tell the name. And then finally they have agreed to give something. Originally 52,000 names or something was asked. And finally they have agreed to give some 800 names, for which they are amending their constitution only for US, not for other countries. So we can also attempt it, nothing wrong about it, because there are large number of Swiss companies in India. And, that's called really arm twisting. Samdan, Vaidyanathan, the fourth one. So you can arm twist, many of the companies, you can, send a lot of your municipal employees, a lot of your electricity. We know how to, what one can call harass an individual or a company. We are kings in that actually. You can say that, PF, some money has not been paid in 2 days late, and, something, we can always, that is, otherwise, Germany did something for Liechtenstein. What they did was, they employed one agency, bribing agency, through which from Liechtenstein, they got all the data. They stole the data, literally. And Liechtenstein is a small territory adjacent to Germany. Everybody knows from the 50s, people were going and giving money there, keeping money there. But after the financial crisis in 2008, Germany became very alert, and a lot of middle class in Germany was fuming. Rich people are going and keeping money in Liechtenstein, but you are asking us to tighten our belt and reducing our pension and all this. So then they published the names. The top of the list was the Deutsche Bank, not Deutsche Bank, Deutsche Post, their head actually, Gimmerwald, he was the top of the list. The German paper published the entire list actually, what they call naming and shaming. And and incidentally, our Boris Becker name was also there, tennis player. So this Liechtenstein shouted, we are a sovereign nation, how can we? German told, forget about it. You stole money, we stole data. That's all. Nothing more than that. German also is a big gorilla. Liechtenstein. So that can be. Then there is the double taxation avoidance. It can also be used by us actually, because we are a You see, any action we take, we cannot be questioned because we are a signatory to United Nations formulation, resolution on tackling black money. So we will say these are the steps which we have used in order to go by the resolution. So that is the one of the other method could be, as I told, we can declare any money kept abroad belongs to the government of India, President of India, constitute a commission, make somebody head of the commission, ask him to collect information, go to Switzerland and tell, overall, the will never be allowed to be taken out because the money belongs to the President of India, not the individual. See, what is, unfortunately, many of our people who have accumulated money there, sometimes they don't even pass on the information to their wives or mistresses or children or something. And then they die. And then the banks, they give some 3 weeks notice. Within these 3 weeks, the concerned party should approach us. The money is not being, the account is not being operated at all, like that. Like this, they have swallowed huge amount of money actually, particularly of Jews in the 1940s and the 1950s. Now there is a rule in Switzerland where after 100 years, all this money would go to revert to the government of Switzerland. So the banks are extremely worried about it because around 1920 it started this whole freezing of money of unoperated accounts, right? So this is so they want it to be extended by another 100 years. So we can also use that clause and then try to find out. We can say that this is what is the money belongs to the government of India, or rather the President of India. Kindly return it. If you don't return it also, it is fine. It will never be allowed to be taken out. So to that extent it is. And then you put a notice in the bank telling that all this, any account of Indian and whatever is kept as a legal basis for trade, commerce and other purposes, obviously that you allow. But that will be a strong thing. And it requires a phenomenal amount of political will, let me tell you frankly, because top judges, top bureaucrats, top politicians, top business people, all have illicit money. So, it's like, it's not very, it's easier said than done, if you ask me honestly. So it requires a huge, sense of cleaning up of the system. It's not something which, everybody is going to agree or anything. And it will be a samudra manthan, if one can use the word, the churning of the ocean, which obviously it gave initially the poison, later the Amrit came. So then Mohini came and danced and tried to stop Asuras. So it's a churning. It's a civilizational question actually. If you ask me bluntly, right? The entire Indian civilization has to decide whether we would like to do this Samudra Manthan and then cleanse our system once and for all. So it's a very, very interesting. And let me tell you, X coming to power, Y coming to power by itself is not going to solve this issue unless there is a national resolve, which you require a significant number of bureaucrats, significant number of judges, significant number of other public servants who are interested and who are willing to work on this cause. It's not a very easy task, I would say.
Very good afternoon, sir. Thank you for all the insights which you have shared. I have a question that, we can say though black money is hampering our economy, but holding wealth is also one of the major hustle. I think that should also be considered one of the points. So I want to know major things about this if you have anything to discuss.
About holding, sorry, Gauriji?
Holding wealth, sir, holding wealth. Huh? Because black money is obviously something which is hampering, but holding wealth. Idle wealth.
Holding risk.
Wealth, only wealth, sir. Idle wealth, wealth which is not utilized.
So, but wealth in the form of, money.
RISK, you are telling risk.
No, sir, I am asking a question, though
Ah.
black money is hampering our economy, right? But
Right.
apart from that, also holding wealth, people are having wealth. And as you mentioned that people are dying without even letting people know about their wealth. So holding wealth idle, that is also one thing which is hampering our economy. So I would like to know more about it.
Holding ways, you are telling. Sorry, I'm not.
WEALTH, wealth.
Huh?
Ma'am, can
Wealth.
you type it in the chat box?
Yeah, I'm
So
doing, sir.
let me translate that. Let me translate that. She is asking the
Ah.
unclaimed money the people
Ah.
leave when they die.
Ah.
Okay.
Ah.
And nobody claims
No,
it.
not
What
just
happens
that,
to
not
that?
just that, not
That
just
money
that.
go, I told you that the bank gorges it. The bank takes it into its balance sheet as and it increases its net worth.
Sorry, sir, this is not my question. My question
Oh,
is people are
okay.
having wealth, but they are not using it. So idle wealth, which is not used anywhere apart from black money, this is also
Okay.
hampering Indian economy. So
Where is that? You tell me which is that which is not used. Can you tell me one example?
in terms of certain assets like land or any kind of asset which they have bought, they are not using it, or maybe the money which they are holding with them, and maybe being a miser or being more speculating for future, they are doing this.
Yeah,
But
that's right. But
yeah,
Dr. Gauriji, you
yes,
see,
sir.
accounting 101 tells you if I
Mhm.
have some cash, for instance,
Yes,
and if you have
yes.
land, and I buy the land from you for 1 lakh rupee, but I give you 60,000 in check and 40,000 in cash, let's say, right? Then that 40,000 is with you. Kindly note, a lot of people have this misconception that black money gets, converted in real estate. Converted where? The cash will always be around. It will not be with me, it will be with you. Part of it has been made into land, that's all. And land acquisition has got other advantages, madam, in India. You don't have to pay income tax if you are an agriculturist. For instance, there is a report, I don't know how much it is true. The Sharad Pawar daughter had a 10-acre land. That lady, what do you call it? Supriya Sole. Right? 10 acre, she earned 100 crore profits. She should be given actually what is called Global Krishi Ratna Award. I don't think anyone can earn 100 crore out of 10 acre, but she did. And it's totally untouched. Totally untouched. This came in paper, and of course, there is no hard and fast proof about it, another thing. But the point I want to say is that agricultural income is not taxed. So you can show huge amount of income out of the land which you are owning. That is another advantage. And let me tell you one thing, black rotates much faster compared to white. Black
So
fellow,
actually,
black fellow will win the race anytime. And black earns also much faster. And it always, it's not, black is not permanently black. It's not like, racial segregation. Black become white, white become black. It's a sort of a, what one can call operating rotation, right?
yes, sir. So even it's difficult to quantify black money, but my question is actually different. But still, thank you so much for because I was thinking that holding wealth and they are not letting it utilized in any productive manner. Because I'm more into I'm thinking about in a very general way, macro level,
Yeah, yeah.
Indian economy. Yeah.
Not much, but a lot of people don't hold it like that. They use it for instance, the credit given for working capital in the unorganized credit market is all using this type of money. It's very easy for them to lend and then collect much significant interest, something like 2% or 3% per week or 1% per week or something like that.
So
So
let me give one more example, like the money or gold, which is held by temples, that is also a wealth and it is not utilized. So
yeah, even they say even gold held by middle class women is not much used, another thing. But I am not very convinced about it, because what we mean by use, If Somnath has got so much gold, you mean all that should be brought out and put into the contractor's hand for constructing roads or what? If as long as that gold is used for arti or if it is used for the god, I think that's a use for that. That's all. The concept of use itself is dicey.
Yeah, then obviously, yes, sir.
Right, so we cannot immediately say Pope has got some 1 trillion worth of gold actually in his but again much of it is in the form of crown and various type of thing. As long as they use it for their purposes, they will say obviously it is used. That's all, because our idea of use
Thank you,
is roads and buildings and cars and okay.
right. Thank you, sir.
Sir, you had given examples wherein you had said that people pay to get jobs. And that is very common in a few states also. Now, my question is on behalf of my students who are attending this session. When they join the corporate world or when they go into the post their studies, how can students not be partakers of corruption when the system is actually having so much corruption? And India is trying its level best to be corruption free. So what can my students do? So what is there any suggestion from your side?
See, they can't completely be out of this. Let's be very clear about it. But let them not be instigators of it, or let them not be encouragers of it. This is what I would say. For instance, even when some are student, a group of students may try to tease a girl or something. So it is very, very difficult for him to tell the other 4 students don't tease her or anything. But let him not join at least, if possible, as much as. So what I want to say is, let him not contribute significantly to the enhanced levels of corruption. That is at least step 1, if not anything else. And if he can, in his own domain or in his own sphere, if he can reduce it, nothing like that. For instance, we discussed about sometime, the technology helping in terms of reduction in corruption. In his own way, in his own workplace, for instance, can he introduce some digital mechanisms? Something, which will reduce that I think he should seriously think in terms of doing it. That is what I would recommend.
Is there a correlation between income levels, tax rates, and black money? So it's like reducing tax rates will stop going black money out. Does tax rates and black money have any relation or correlation?
Yeah. Generally, for instance, we used to have, I do not know, some of you would not have been born again that time. We used to have 98% marginal taxation in the 60s. That is, if you earn 100 rupee extra, 98 rupees you have to pay in taxes. So that was one of the reasons why tax evasion, tax planning, tax avoidance, different terminology is given. It started in India. Same thing about accumulating money abroad. Many people, we used to get some $100 only as foreign exchange benefit. $100, you can't do anything at all if you travel abroad in those days. It became very complicated. So there is a link definitely between income levels and taxation and black money. But not beyond a point. Currently, for instance, our tax levels are, I would say, comparable with any global tax levels only. We have something like 30% plus another. Of course, you can't compare it to the Nordic countries. They are having 70%, 60% taxes. But in Nordic countries, Norway, Sweden, and all those countries, lifelong protection is given by government in terms of, and their population is very small and other. Forget about them. Other countries, our current rates are, I would say, definitely comparable and reasonable. And that has not eliminated completely the black money. Because there is a, intrinsic tendency. Somebody has asked in the question here, can we completely eliminate corruption? It's not possible. It's eliminating crime. It's a very nice idea. I love it actually, but it's simply not. We can only minimize. How can we minimize? 2 methods are important. We should give swift and severe punishment. That is how the Western countries have developed. Swift and severe punishment. In India today, for instance, many times the court cases take 15 years, 20 years, another thing. It's not a swift, severe, swift in that time. They used to, whenever I say that justice delayed, justice denied. One judge stood up in a seminar and told, Professor, justice hurried is justice buried. So we should be very careful. Careful mean what? 10, 12 years, 15 years. Unless we have swift and severe punishment. Not in terms of, some 1 lakh rupee, the company should, 1 lakh rupee is nothing. And these days, and this punishment is given by RBI or court and other. So unless then we can minimize. Let me tell, we cannot eliminate. The tendency of human being is to avoid taxes. So tendency of many human beings is to commit petty crimes. So it's very, very, unless you are extraordinarily self-regulated, which are not very many people are. It's not that somebody is observing you. You are in a room, nobody is observing, there is a golden pen available. Will you swipe it or not? If you don't swipe it, then you are really self-regulated. But very few people are like that. So what do? You introduce swift and severe punishment. So yes and S is the only way you can minimize. Let me repeat it. You cannot eliminate. You can minimize, and taxes beyond a point cannot be reduced and should not be reduced also. In the sense, the government requires some amount of funding in order to run its affairs, right? Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is again from Madhav Nayarji. He is asking this: electoral reforms with state funding may reduce high-level corruption. Is that possible?
No, I don't think so. State level funding in a country like India is, honestly telling, is impossible. We are a country of 130 crore people, and the amount of elections we have, legislative assembly, local corporation, and we have more than 1,200 to 1,500 registered political parties. Too many political parties and other thing. As I told you, this family, 20 families are having huge amount of control and other. I would not. What I would say is we must have some amount of what one can call checks and balances. In terms of, for instance, in US, they provide funds, and it is well known. Recently, it came out that Pfizer has provided huge amount of funds to this Biden campaign. That's one of the reasons why Biden is very favorable toward Pfizer. These things are known, who is financing whom, and so I would rather say transparency. Anything given beyond, say, 1 lakh, anything given beyond, say, some amount, fix it. It should be known who is giving it to whom. For that, we have to come out of this vindictive type of politics. That is, if you have given money to BJP, then Congress, if they come to power, they will, punish me. If I give money to Congress, if BJP, that type of thing should go. So corporate as well as individual should be encouraged, and it should be known who is giving, what is their sources and uses of funds, and that's the only mechanism. See, the transparency is something like a sunlight, and that is what will remove a lot of these bugs and worms. Rather than, I would not go for really government funding another.
Good morning, sir. It's an honor to hear from you, sir. I have enjoyed every minute of attending this session.
Oh, thank you.
There are some bright and young minds which are sitting in the class, sir, our students. With the rich experience you have, sir, I want you to throw some light and tell us what are the rays of hope. What are the positive aspects that they should focus on, because they are going to be getting into the business world very soon once they finish their course. So what is that they should look for so that we don't have the problem of brain drain? People
very much. As I told you, we are a old civilization. First and foremost, remember that something like thousands of years we have gone through, and as I told you, examples of railways, examples of some of these modern method of doing things, reducing significantly the level of corruption and other things. And one thing we should remember is whoever is entering into business or whoever is entering into companies, they are carrying on their shoulder a huge responsibility of thousands of years of civilization. They should, they should look at themselves as a representative of an age-old civilization. Not just some yesterday's kids or anything like that. So to that extent, in their own lifestyle, in their own business propositions, what extent they can look at some of these, what extent they can, I'm not telling all of them should become 100% ethical and Gandhian and other thing. Some of them could go out of business if they start doing like that. But what is the level to which they can minimize this thing? One. Second is they should not contribute to incremental problems in this area. And the third is they should think of some innovative technology related solutions to these, some of these things. By technology related, very elementary, what we are telling is the man-to-man, face-to-face interaction should be reduced. That's all. As long as face-to-face interaction is reduced, there is a possibility that this type of thing will be, and you systematize. In the sense, it doesn't matter whether you are a Queen of England or whether you are my peon. This is the process which you have to come through, and this process, as long as your things are okay, you will be through. So, incidentally, I know some IAS officers who have done it in their respective departments. It's not some, of course, one can't say that all over the country and other thing, but in specific districts, specific department, they have done a good job of it actually. And it should be sustained. It should be continued. It's not a one-off type of a thing or something. So fundamentally, people who join companies, they should, behave like professional. Everybody says, what is a professional? I always lightheartedly tell, if you do something which you can't share it with your mom, that is unprofessional. Very simple. Can you tell your mom you did this today with a clean heart? If you can tell that, then you are a professional. That's all. There is no need for any iFunda books or something, because generally to your mom, you tend to be very clear. And if you have done something which you cannot share it, then it's a very, like a recent illustration I will give. One in US, in Alabama, one Mexican lady got a lottery ticket. And she got the prize $1 million. And in the morning she came, the same store she comes. It's a Gujarati run store actually. One Mehul Shah or some name was there. And she didn't, they have to scratch that number to see whether the winning number and her number are matching. She did some part of it, and then she thought that she didn't win and threw it into the dustbin, went away. The son of the shopkeeper, when he was cleaning the shop, there, some of you may know the son, mother, they are the ones who do the local work. When the cleaning, he saw this ticket and he checked it, and then he found that it is a 1 million prize. He was shaken actually. Then he rang up his mom in Surat. What I should do about it. She told, beta, you hand it over. Because he comes regularly to that shop. And he asked to, he didn't ask why, but she told it won't stick to us, in the sense if you use it, it's not going to. And next day he called her and he returned, and it became a big local television station, covered this news and newspapers and other. He was highly appreciated. She gave him some gift or whatever. Point I want to stress is, this is a very simple example. $1 million is not a small amount. Kindly remember that. 1 million into 73 rupees. You can imagine. It's we would have gone to, but he did. His mom told him, do this. This is there are sometimes what happened. There are correct things which have to be done. That's all. There is no need for you to worry about this and that at your level. So do that, I would say. Second is, if you are in business or if you are working or something, always be thankful to what you got. You may get a flat, you may get a car, you may get a facility, you may get so be eternally thankful for the gift which you get. These are gifts of gods actually. There's no need to be, excessively greedy or something, right? Aparigraha, nirhankara is what I would say. Aparigraha is, don't try to grab somebody else's food, somebody else's ice cream, somebody else's benefits and other things. whatever you get, you deserve, you get, you enjoy it actually. That is called aparigraha. Don't grab or try to. Nirahankara, don't try to think that you are the ultimate. I say you should do, and it doesn't work out at all. Right? People, people very unfortunate these days. The next day, people die actually. They think they are permanent. Nobody is permanent. So I would say Nirahankara and Aparigraha. Keep this in mind. Never try to snatch somebody else's thing because it won't be with you. I'm telling you. It may be there today or tomorrow, but in the lifelong battle, you will suddenly realize it will not be with you. So this is what I would like to suggest to youngsters. Right? Simple things, simple ways. Right?
Thank you so much, sir. We actually are very, very deeply rooted into Indian ethos and values. I think a couple of examples that you cited really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think we should, along with teaching our regular courses in terms of all the capital market analysis and marketing methods and strategy and other. Parallelly, we should also inculcate with them some amount of values and because that carries them long actually. That makes them throughout their life in terms of it could be simple elementary type of values. As I told you, the President of India could come out and then go back and leave his pen. That shows his value. He is nothing. Nobody is going to question him. That's another important thing. Nobody is going to say, "Oh, he took away the pen" or something like that. But he felt it's not mine, so it belongs to. So that's I think these are smaller and smaller things which we can do. That not that we cannot do it at all. Right? Thank you, ma'am.